So after yesterday's topic that I was talking about, I was referring to the vagueness in communication and how it affects the dynamics and how we understand each other and what that means in like an intimate relationship dynamic, and also within plutonic ones too, and how you can really see how somebody shows up for you in their way of being, meaning the way they are towards you, because you have people that are kind and will not outrightly just reject you or make you feel rejected. They will just continue to be kind and go like your things and be, give you basic short-term answers. And for a lot of people who don't understand that, goes for men and women alike, is that, let's just use an example on social media when people are talking to you and you feel that they aren't really showing up for you as much as you'll show up for them. Or like, I'll use another example. If you message someone and they read your message and they don't respond to it when they've read the message, they'll like wait till the next day and then respond and say, I was working, or I was busy, I had this to do. And please know that those people aren't for you, and they aren't going to be for you. It's their subtle way of rejecting you as a person, regardless of whether it's intimate or plutonic sense. So don't hang on to those kind of dynamics and stay in those relationships, and only give to others what they're giving to you from now on. If you're not in that kind of embodiment and empowerment of oneself already, that is, So that was what I was referring to when it comes to vagueness of communication. And the way I've understood that is, which I want to talk about tonight, is that pattern recognition for me is key now in all circumstances in my life. And I apply it to absolutely everything in life now. And there are times when you can lose the rule, is that when you know F all about something, when you know absolutely nothing about somebody or something or someone, or people, places or things, whatever the reference may be to, if you don't know nothing about it at all, then you can't apply pattern recognition because you have no correlation of experiencing it before. But when I'm talking on a relationship sense, in the dynamics between people, whether it be intimate or plutonic again, it's easy to show up and manifest in the same kind of patterns of behaviour in others in a way they display and showcase themselves towards you. So I'll refer to an understanding of this basically like on an intimate sense. Just say you're talking to people and you're in conversation with someone that may be new in your life, and I don't know, just say you message people and they're not consistent with answering you, or you can see that they've left your message on read, and then they'll answer and respond to your message like the next day or hours and hours later and go, sorry, I was busy, or whatever. For me, that's a prime example of those people just not showing up for you, because the vagueness is there for a reason. That's a little bit of illusion to show that they're not really for you, without being rude, So it's an illusion, really, and it causes confusion if you stay in it, I should have said, rather. And so if somebody's not for you and they're not giving to you the way you give to them, if you feel that you're an overextending person and you've stopped doing that, and then when you're giving to new people, you're met with that kind of that energy and that feeling, or that pattern of behaviour arises in others, just please note that we're in 2026 now and we're adults, and a lot of people are very, very conscious, if not everybody is conscious, of exactly what they're doing and how they show up and respond to others now. And if they're not, they'll be in a very immature energy. They'll be displaying immature patterns of behaviour, and you shouldn't be talking to them in the first place, and they don't respect you or value you as a person, regardless of whether that's intimate or plutonic. So if somebody doesn't show you love and you don't feel the love back, so if someone leaves you on red or doesn't respond to something you've said, they aren't for you, okay? That goes on all senses. That goes in intimate relationships, plutonic relationships, and it applies to life itself, in businesses or when you go into a shop and you're getting ill response, and if say you're in a restaurant, takeaways and that, because a lot of people go to the boss man shops or whatever, and you're met with that kind of energy, don't eat in that shop. Don't eat there. Get out of there. The shop ain't for you, you know, you're not welcome in there, so don't be shopping in places like that neither. Don't put money in the pockets of those that are showing ill will towards you, because you're feeding into a narrative of not niceness and unkindness, and you're lowering your standards for your own self by presenting that kind of way of being to others, and you'll get seen as less than. Don't do that. Empower yourself. So vagueness is a showing of unwillingness to be reciprocal in a dynamic with you. That means they are not for you. Keep pushing. So the way I understand the patterns of behaviours, when I see this in new people, I can understand this and pick this up because I've been there before, I've seen it and I've experienced it. So I've had it recently with new people quite often, when I don't mean to like sit here and like, I'm not out here trying to study people, because I show up as myself every time, and I'm always leading with kindness and compassion, and I'm always open to new relationships and getting to know anybody on any kind of level. I'm happy to. And but a lot of people carry their traumas and their own insecurities, and are not quite as forthcoming as myself, which I understand. Man, another thing I've learned is that not everybody's gonna love and show up and care for me the way I do for them in life, and you always end up giving more than you receive in life, and it gets to a point in time when you've done that forever and a day. If nobody shows up for you in the same way, then you've got to keep it pushing too. So for me as well, I want to note that this pattern recognition is already instilled in you as a person anyway. Understanding patterns of behaviour and understanding the cycles. So we'll use those FAD terms for you to understand and break it down in layman's terms now. Is that the cycles, we all talk about cycles, karmic cycles. I'm hearing a lot of these buzzwords I'm going to use because they're very current. I'm seeing it all in my feed, regardless of what I do. The tarot readers, the prophets, the coaches and advisors and people like that, and they don't really reference to these things and how they understand them. I'm really teaching others how to, and I'm gonna tell you the basic understanding of why they do it and they're able to, is because they're conscious of these patterns, and they look for them subconsciously as well as consciously. And I'll give you an example of why I've got 1111 tattooed on my traps here. It was the first repeating pattern number in a really dark time of my life. It was a few years ago now, a couple of years ago. I kept seeing it, and I was left in a position by pretty much everyone around me, and even a so-called family members. These people were meant to be in my life, and we were meant to be healing relationships, and it wasn't that. There was a lot of illusion, there was a lot of masks, and there was a lot of toxic behaviour that I wasn't interested in the first place, and I was kind of brought into. Though after it all, I learned quite a lot about more than just what wasn't for me. I learned more about what was for me, and what was for me was the embodiment of the change that was needed, and the change that I made, which was to step away from these patterns of behaviour and look at myself and what that meant for me. And I understood that always with time comes change, and but when I was in this stage, I kept seeing 1111. Now, I wasn't into social media or anything like that. I wasn't on social media for years and years and years and years and years. I'm not joking. People will tell you this if they've known me from the past. They say Craig wasn't on social media. I wish I wasn't. And but I kept seeing in my feed on YouTube and stuff like that. I used to just sit there and watch things about fish programs and old music videos from like late 90s, 80s and the 2000s. I'm a big music man, if you didn't know. I used to have decks and I used to DJ and stuff like that. I was known for always being a music man, and anyone from my past would always tell you that if you ever speak to someone that knew me from them. But anyways, I wanted something different in my life, so I knew in order for me to make changes, there had to be subtle changes, and it starts small, So I was I'm a decorator by trade, and I've been qualified since I was 15, full tickets, because I went to prison early, and before that I was working on a yard, so it was natural for me. And I'm artistic, I'm a creative, so all the painting you see everywhere around me is all done by me, hand. It's second nature, like I said. And whilst I was painting, I kept seeing 1111 everywhere. And it was, I bought some paint supplies from B&Q. And there are other hardware stores available, by the way, and other places you can go, but particularly here in the UK, I went to B&Q this time. And I'd been given change, and I'd bought the stuff in the morning, and it was 11:11 a.m. on the receipt. And also my change was £11.11 from the cash that I'd given the till. I kept the receipt for ages, but anyway. And then I started seeing it on my phone. On my phone, I look at the time, 11:11. At the time, I was still old school, moving like a granddad. I had an iPhone 11. And it would be like, I'd have 11 pence in change. I kept seeing 11s and 1s. Everyone was like, what the fuck is this? And then one night I was laying in my bed and I saw 11:11 pop up on the thumbnail on one of the posts, and I watched it, and it was telling about 11:11. Why are you seeing this angel number? It was the angel number. And it was God's number I was hearing. It was like, and it really correlated with me, and I really was taking it in. I was feeding into the narrative because I was seeing it so much, you know. And now I understand it as, because I'd seen it so often, and now it was in my feed, I'll use the word I fed into it too, because now it's almost a second nature that when I see 11, it literally just said 11:11 up there on the timer, that my eyes recognise it now. So before, where I would have just bypassed 11:11 without understanding there was any correlation or association to the number itself, I would never have kept seeing it as a sign or synchronicity, or would have even used the term, there's no coincidences. Because the not so coincidental moments of seeing the numbers 11:11 were oblivious to me, because I wasn't understanding of it. It just so happens because it was repetitive. Just like when we're children and we're growing up and we're learning things, we learn to walk. It starts off by repeating. Or when we're writing our name, we write our names is repeating it before it becomes second nature. And this is the same way that we visually see things, we tangibly feel things and do things and behave a certain way, and these are the patterns. And eventually it becomes subconsciously programmed into us to pick up on these things wherever we go. And I like now that in 2026 that there's association to the numbers, and there's so many people understanding this too. And this is just your brain's cognition into understanding and recognizing the patterns. And if you're the kind of person that's stuck in patterns of behavior and loops and understanding that you need to make a change, then the first thing I would say was inject a little bit of change in order to break the pattern. So if you didn't want to see 11:11, maybe put a timer on your phone to remind you, I don't know, 11:09 randomly, and just so that you stop looking at your phone. If you don't want to see the number 11:11, that is, and maybe stop looking for the signs of synchronicities in the smaller things, and you can recognise them in others too, is what I'm saying. And but that's how I've understood why we see the synchronicities and why we say there's no coincidences, is because we're having it instilled in our patterns of behaviour and the cycles that we end up living in and repeating regularly, so therefore we pick up on them. But as long as it's got a positive association to it, then don't stop feeding into the narrative of angel numbers, because I absolutely fucking love them. And they make me smile. They just give me little moments in the day and make me feel like I'm seen by, something more, something divine, as they say, And, I'm a man of God, and I'm a great believer in him and the universe and, something higher, a conscious state of what we believe to be bigger than ourselves, and the future and what's right for us, and, what goes beyond us, And it's important to have something like a belief system that makes us feel good and gives us a reason to carry on. And 1444 on the timer, as I just said, that's another one. See, pattern recognition. So as long as I can recognise that there's something higher than me, there's a better cause, and that to live a certain way is healthy for me, and it does wonders for how I feel internally. It makes me feel good, consciously, spiritually, you know, and physically and emotionally. And the patterns of behaviour that I'm repeating and getting into are beneficial to me, then I'm going to keep doing these things. There's no changes needed. So if it ain't broke, you don't fix it. If it's a negative behaviour, make sure you do break the chains by instilling something new into your patterns of ways of being. And that includes understanding others too, the way they show up for you. So if something ain't working and there's vagueness and there's a little bit of a confusion, then that's illusion. That means those people aren't for you. So that ties in everything that I've just spoken about today, you know. And yeah, I think I'll stop there. And 15:51 I just seen on the timer up there. Again, same number as yesterday I referred to. But I'm going to say thank you for being here. I thank you for being patient enough to listen to my words and hear me out and hear my voice and my understanding and my reasonings on these philosophies of life and the fads of 2026 and how I've gotten to where I've been today and how I manage my days too. And I just want to thank you for being here, most importantly. You know, I'm not going to ask you to do anything else apart from just be knowing that I'm really thankful and appreciative of you just being here and listening this long. So if you have, I appreciate you very, very much. Sending you nothing but love, you know, love and feelings. And if you're still sitting there feeling negative about me, that's down to you. That's your issue. That's something you need to take up within yourself, you know, something you have to work on, because that's not down to me. And yeah, thank you again. So if you would like to see me again, just consider subscribing and you'll see me in your feed more often. And the liking and commenting and sharing is always down to you. If you feel called to do that, then please do. And thank you for being here. I've been Craig. This is Craig's Corner. And yeah, thanks for being here, man.